Hi everyone. Today I wanted to talk about some books I want that are about ghosts, history, mythology. I kind of wanted to have separate videos for each topic, but I don't have enough on my wish list to make separate videos, so just gonna put it all in one. But anyway, getting right into it. Ghosts and Spirits. It's an encyclopedia actually. I don't think I have many ghost books like at all. However, this one is like, I love this author. They do really, really good encyclopedias. So I think if I got this, I'd be really creeped out. I have my own ghost stories. If you ever want to hear all of them, let me know. Being in a haunted house is really creepy. Dealing with ghosts is really, really scary. Like, it's creepy when you hear somebody talking and no one's there. You could always just say you hallucinated it or maybe you're imagining things. But it's different when the person you live with hears the exact same thing or has the same experiences, especially if you catch it on camera. Then that's even creepier. But moving on, Mystic Archives. This is a series, I believe, and I actually have one of the books in the series and I love it, so I think I wouldn't mind getting more of the books in the series. Also, of course, Modern Witchcraft. I have a few books in the series so far, and I really do love the series. There's actually a book in this series I really do want. It is called, I think, The Wheel of the Year or like Holidays of the Year, and I want it so bad. I really do, but I'm waiting for a time to buy it that I could actually like use it because like I've been really busy. So hopefully one day I'll have like more time to be able to celebrate more holidays. There's also other books in this series that are really, really great. So, of course, would love to have like probably all of them, maybe. But anyway, this book, Angels, a very short introduction. I have a bunch of angel books, I really do. However, I want this one really bad because this series is very scientific, like very short introduction is by Oxford, and a lot of their books, like this whole series is just based in science and I think philosophy as well. Like it's not going to tell you that angels are real or not. It's just trying to explain the science behind it and like I guess like how society views them and how I guess it affects our psychology and the way we think or act. But anyway, the Penguin Book of the Undead. I just think that if you want to get creeped out on purpose or if it's Halloween time, perfect to read books like this. It's just spooky. I love spooky stories. I try to avoid watching them on TV. However, reading the books about them, I feel like I could handle a lot more. Because, yeah, they're still creepy. For example, The Haunting of Hill House, that was a creepy story. I actually have a few other books that are creepy. For example, I have this one book that is about haunted dolls, and they talk about dolls like Annabelle, Robert. Whether it's real or fake, it's still really creepy. I get paranoid really easily too. So, if you want to get scared for fun, books like this are great. But anyway, Practicing Greek Polytheism Today. I want this book because I do identify like as a polytheist. Like I was raised Christian. However, I literally do so much. Like I'm into using Greek gods and rituals, but then like I still am aware of like the Christian god, but then I do practice witchcraft. Like I'm literally everywhere at once. And I'm also just yeah, I would just love to know more about this stuff. I actually have a friend who is into polytheism and they be telling me things about the Greek gods and I'm like, "Great, I wish I would have known that." Sometimes like we do practice our religious beliefs well, but there's always a way to improve them, to make it more, I guess, routine or maybe a happier experience. Which, by the way, somebody told me one time, I think, how they were like, how could you believe in the Christian God but also Greek gods? And the way I try to phrase it is that you could be aware that somebody is real without loving them or agreeing with them or believing in them. You know what I mean? Like, we do that every day with people. So I don't really view it differently with gods. Like, I'm really into Lilith, Medusa, Aphrodite, and I like to use them in witchcraft, but I also have beliefs from other religions too. So, yeah, I don't really have a I guess, label. I just kind of do what I think is comfortable and makes the most sense to myself. If you don't believe in what I believe in, that's fine because it's religious beliefs and everyone has the right to practice what they want to practice as long as they don't hurt anyone. But anyway, magic, a history from alchemy to witchcraft to the Ice Age to present. I already have a witchcraft book that like talks about the history, prehistory, current modern day and all that, but this one, I want it. I also would really like the book Parallel Myths. It just kind of describes like how a lot of myths kind of like copy other myths or they're like really similar. Like for example, in Gilgamesh there's like a giant flood, but then in the Christian lore there's like Noah's Ark and the giant flood, and then in other religions there's also a giant flood. There's creation myths, there's myths that are really similar to other myths. Like for example, right, like for example in Greek mythology, Pandora opens the box, opens the jar, whatever. And people are like, oh, silly woman, she opened a box that she wasn't supposed to open. But then in Christianity, they're like, Eve took the apple when she wasn't supposed to, right? Like, it's just, they kind of have the same, I guess, foundation, I suppose, right? In Greek mythology, we have Pan, but then in Christianity, there is Lucifer, Satan, right? Like, it feels like a lot of it is, like, similar. And, yeah, like, there has been dragons in biblical stories, there's dragons in Greek stories. I just think it's so interesting how things are so similar. But moving on, I would love to have this beginner's guide to fortune telling. I know of multiple books that are more in-depth than this one, but I would still like this one because I feel like it's a really good book, and I want it. Speaking of books I really want, The Evil Eye. This book is amazing from what I've heard, and I believe the evil eye is real because I have experienced it, because, like, there was a year in my life where I really, really, like, wanted to do something, and every time I told somebody about it, my plans about it would fall apart because they didn't want me to accomplish it. So, moral of story, don't tell people your goals if you know they don't like you or if you know they will disagree with you, because even though they won't try to make you fail, just their, like, evil glare towards you could throw your energy off. You gotta protect your energy. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, the Penguin Book of Exorcisms. I think it's really interesting. I think it's really intriguing. A lot of people say it's just people having seizures, allergic reactions, psychosis, whatever. However, as a person who has experienced psychosis really bad, yeah, it was nothing like an exorcism. So, from a person who experienced psychosis and people who think that exorcisms are just people who are mentally ill, I think it's different. Honestly, I think it's so, so different. Because, like, if you watch some videos or if you read some stories about exorcisms, it's like the people start levitating or they start doing things that are very, like, I guess demonic in a way. But when you're in psychosis, you don't really do that. At least I didn't, Like, I definitely acted crazy, but I didn't act possessed. However, I guess it depends person to person, but I didn't levitate. So, yeah. But moving on. Oxford, A Very Short Introduction. The Devil. I saw this one quote in this book, and it goes something like, this guy was, like, talking to a classroom of kids, I think, and he said, what do you think the devil looks like? And the kids were like, I don't know. And then he said, he looks like me. And I was like, that quote, if you find the exact quote, that would be perfect on Tumblr back in 2016 with some, like, bad boy aesthetic. Like, I know for a fact somebody used that somewhere. Oh my god, it's so, so interesting. But yeah, would love to read this because I love those, like, scientific, like, psychology, I guess, perspectives on supernatural things. Anyway, Folk Tales United Kingdom. I have, I think, 2 books in this series, and I think it's just so intriguing. So, the United Kingdom is actually so large that they had to make a book for each, like, part of United Kingdom because the lore changes, like, in every town you go to. So, yeah, this book series is 56 books long. However, I would love to read the whole thing. I really would. I went to Barnes & Noble and there was a book there called Superstitions of the World, I think, and I picked it up and I put it back because growing up, like, superstitions I heard always gave me the worst paranoia. Like, if you told me, hey, a black cat will give you bad luck, I would believe you immediately. I'd be like, really? Then I'd have a full-blown, like, panic attack over black cats. I would get so paranoid, I'd be, like, looking over my shoulder, like, bad luck exists, you know? You can't break a mirror, you can't walk under a ladder, you can't do certain things because you're just paranoid, because you're like, oh my god, like, bad luck will follow me. Like, I was so scared, so anxious. I heard this, like, old tale that if you eat too much candy on Halloween, you'll get tapeworms. And I was like, oh my god, I have tapeworms. Like, if I had, like, a headache or a stomach ache, or if I felt uncomfortable in any way, I would be like, I have a parasite, and start crying. It just, I cannot be superstitious. That stuff destroys me. It gives me the worst paranoia. However, this book basically talks about, I guess, the psychology and the, I guess, like, anthropology, maybe sociology, of how, like, society views superstition and how it, like, evolves over time, I think. I could be wrong. But I do know this book isn't really telling you superstitions, but rather explaining how they came to be and, like, how it affects us mentally, I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's that. So, would like to read it. Would also like to read the art book. It's like a history book of all the art and, like, their ages. I learned about art in school, but I forgot everything. So, would just love to have this book. I care more about Greek mythology and Roman mythology more than the history. However, this is really interesting. It really is, so I think I would love to read it. As well as the book I can't pronounce it. Pandemonium. Yeah. I've been wanting this book for, like, a few years now. It's a visual history of demonology. And it's always, like, going in and out of stock because it just sells out really quick, I think. It's just really crazy looking book. I want it. It's amazing. It's so cool. A lot of demonology books don't have many pictures in them sometimes, but this one's, like, illustrated. And it has lots of information. It is kind of expensive, though, I think, so would love to get the book one day. But with history, though, I would love to have Greek and Roman sexualities a source book because I think it is just so interesting, you know? I also would like to get The Secret History of the Jersey Devil because, like, I feel like a lot of people claim they saw the Jersey Devil, but apparently this monster was literally invented, so I don't know. But lastly, I would like the crime book. It's just like a huge book about histories of really, I guess, well-known crimes that happened. And I've said before how I don't like reading about crime because it makes me really paranoid. A lot of things make me very paranoid. However, I think this book kind of focuses on the history and the psychology of it. And I truly do believe we need to learn the psychology of crime in order to learn how to stop it. Because if you don't know how it starts, how will you know how to end it? You know what I mean? Like, if people commit crimes because of things like mental health, then we need to research that and discover how to prevent those mental health issues so people don't, I guess, turn into killers, you know? Obviously, mental health isn't an excuse to hurt people, but if we can resolve the problem of what is causing mental health issues, then we'll prevent a lot of pain and suffering, you know? This book isn't just killings, it's also, I think, robberies and stuff like that, but yeah, I would love to read about it. It seems pretty scientific as well. DK makes a lot of really good books in my opinion, so yeah, I guess that's it. I've been talking for way too long. Bye!